Hello, welcome to Passport to Flavor with me, Chef Ripley. I'll be your host on this journey. I am a Paint Branch High School food trends teacher. Before that, I worked in a couple restaurants, and before that, I was a Culinary Institute graduate. My goal for you this time is to teach you a recipe that I've made every year for Christmas, or at least have eaten, and that is my mom's Christmas quiche. So the reason behind this recipe is my brother and I always got up super early in the morning, and my parents wanted to have something ready, so we always came down and smelled this quiche, and it was like the smell of Christmas to me. So today we're going to do two different recipes. Growing up, it was always ham and cheese for me. My wife's vegetarian, so now I got to do a broccoli and cheddar one as well. So we're going to start out first by just blanching some broccoli. If you don't know what blanching means, it just means boiling it and then shocking it in some cold water. This is to keep it as green as possible as we cook it. So in here I have a pot of water. I did not add any salt yet. Always make sure you season stuff. So we're going to throw some salt in because this is going to help it stay nice and green. Then we're going to take our broccoli, which I already have cut here. This is about a cup and a half, and we're going to dump it in and just let it cook for about a minute or two. In the meantime, I have a bowl of ice water here that we're going to, as soon as I see it's cooked and ready to go, we're just going to drop it in. How do we know when it's cooked? It's kind of hard to tell. You can take a piece out and cut it, and if it cuts easily with a fork or a knife, that's fine. I'm at the point now where I can just kind of feel it with the tongs and know when it's generally there, but we want it to stay as green as possible, so the longer you cook it, it's going to dull that color. So we'll just let this cook for a couple minutes, and then we'll take it out, put it in here, and move on to the next step. With the broccoli quiche, I like to go ahead and put it into the pie crust on the bottom because it's easier to plate it that way. And I know what you're thinking. I'm a chef and I'm using pre-bought pie dough, but I just feel like, you know, Christmas, you don't want to be busy cooking, so just get the easy stuff and put it in. It tastes good. Who's going to care, right? So we'll check it. I'm squeezing it, and I can feel that it still has a little bit more to go. So we'll just leave it in for a couple seconds longer. And we'll take it out, blanch it, and put it in the bottom of the crust. So I think we're about good now. So I'm going to just take it, put it in this ice water. This is just to stop the cooking right away. This is going to keep it nice and green and fresh so that as we bake it, because it will cook longer, it's going to lose some of that color. So we can cook it a little bit above what you would normally eat your broccoli at. So we'll take this. I'll turn off the stove now. We'll just let this cool down for a couple of seconds. And then we're just going to lay it gently onto the bottom of this pan. I just think this makes for a better presentation than a bunch of chopped broccoli in it or it mixed match throughout. So I'm just putting this down in there, and then we'll move on to the filling. I don't think this is a traditional quiche in any stretch of the way. It's more cheese than it is eggs. I feel like generally quiche has more eggs in it, but I think this is a more foolproof method. It's going to be good every time, so nothing to worry about. So let me move these out of the way. Now it's time to make the filling. We have the broccoli down in this pan. Like I said, we're making a ham and cheese quiche as well. So we'll just start everything out in one base and then separate it down so we can add the different ingredients to it. So where did I put it? Here we go. So here I have 3/4 cup of melted butter. To that, I'm going to add 3 eggs. Three-quarters cup of milk. And 3 tablespoons of flour. And this is your base to the quiche. At this point, the rest of the ingredients, you can change it however you want. Like I said, I'm suggesting a broccoli cheddar quiche and then a ham and Swiss quiche, but if you want mushrooms, put mushrooms in it. Whatever works after this part. So we're just going to mix this together, and we'll divide it into 2 separate batches. Okay, so I'm going to get another bowl now. And that's going to be, we're going to take this amount. This is for 2 quiches. So we're just going to divide this between 2 bowls about evenly. I can see it's about 2 cups. So I'm going to put about 1 cup over here. And then, like I said, the rest is kind of a choose your own adventure. My suggestion, ham and Swiss, and then broccoli cheddar. So we'll continue with the broccoli and cheddar first, since that's what we got here. So I have 6 ounces of cheddar cheese here that I'm going to put into this bowl. Now, I like color in the food, so if I'm doing a green thing, I don't want to add white onions because it's just going to be 2 notes of color. So with the cheddar quiche, I'm going to add red onions, but you can use white. That's totally fine. And I like a little spice, so I'm going to add a little bit of jalapenos to that as well. Optional, completely optional if you don't like your spice. Then we're just going to mix this together. And you're going to see it doesn't look like there's enough eggs in there at all. But like I said, this is more cheese and egg mixture. And we'll pour this on top of the broccoli. And then we'll get on to the ham and Swiss. Put this over to the side. So now you just take this mixture, and we're going to pour it right over on top of this broccoli. Because we put the broccoli down in there, we want to kind of press down to make sure we're getting those eggs all the way down to the bottom. And we got one of our quiches made. That was fast. Now, if you wanted to make this a day in advance, I would suggest leaving it out of the pie shell and then the day of just dumping it in there. One issue I had growing up is I put it in a metal container and the eggs started to turn green. So just make sure it's in a non-reactive container like a plastic or a glass container as you're making it. So broccoli cheddar done. We'll put this one to the side now. And it's time to move on to the ham quiche. So this one might be even easier. Once again, we have the rest of our base mixture here. To that, we're going to add 6 ounces of Swiss cheese. And I know it's impossible to find shredded Swiss, so you're just going to have to shred it yourself. I already did that for you in advance, so we're going to dump that in. Mix that together, and then I'm going to add white onions to this one because we don't need the color. The ham's going to bring out that redness and the difference in color. And then, pro tip, if you go to Giant or any grocery store, they usually have in the deli section leftover pieces at the end of the deli meat. I buy that. It's like $1.50, and you can get enough of the ham there to just chop it up because all you're doing is chopping it up anyway. We'll add that in. Saves you money, and sometimes a little better than buying like the pre-sliced meat over in the other section of the deli. So we mix this together, dump that in, and we have 2 quiches ready to go. These take about 45 minutes to bake. So it's at a 350 degree oven. We're looking for it to get kind of brown on the top and bubbly. Let me put them on here just to make life easier. So we have our ham and Swiss quiche and our broccoli cheddar quiche. We are going to put these into the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. And in no time, you'll have a product that looks like this. Ooh, okay. We have our broccoli cheddar quiche here and our ham and Swiss quiche over here. I wish you could smell it in here. It smells like Christmas to me. So I hope that you make this a holiday tradition as well, because what's simpler than having something ready to go? You just got to put it in the oven in the morning. Kids wake up and they smell that food, and then they get to open their presents and see all of Santa's gifts. Thanks for joining me on this journey. I hope you tune in future episodes to see more recipes. Have a great day.